Well, good morning, guys. We've got a special thing we're going to be doing today. Going to be using a slabbing mill. This is a Lucas Dedicated Slabbing mill. It will clear cut 76 inches from that point there to that point right there. And it's basically just a big chainsaw bar laying on its side. All right, here's another view from this log from this end. This is a white ash. Looks like it's about 10 foot long. It's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood. Come here, Ethan. This is my son, Ethan, here. He's going to hold the tape for me. Come here, Weston. This is his buddy, Weston. He's going to hold the other end of the tape over here at my hand. All right, boys, kind of hold it down right there. The widest point of the log. No, hold your tape straight. There you go. Come to your way just a little. There you go, Ethan. All right. Right here at Weston's finger, looks like we are about 38 inches. So the widest point, this log's 38 inches wide. We've cut some with this mill 60 inches wide before. So this isn't the biggest log we've ever cut, but it's still a pretty log. When you're slab cutting logs, what I always like to do is look for two things. First of all, when you're slab cutting, you're cutting for character. You're not cutting for quality. If you took this log to a sawmill, they probably wouldn't give you hardly anything for it. First of all, because it's got that fork in it right there. And second, it's got this big old busted check in it. But what I look for when I'm cutting slabs is how to get the best cut, the prettiest grain. And anytime you have a fork coming off of a tree, that's creating what's called crotch wood right there. And I like to cut it with the crotch wood. If you turn it and cut it the other way, like rotate 9 degrees, you're going to cut all that out. So you're going to have clear or clearer lumber coming out of the log when you rotate it and cut the crotch out of it. The other thing I like to look for is cracks. If you look, there's a crack right there that's running about from the 9 o'clock position here down to about the 4 o'clock position here. Typically, you want to line that crack up as horizontal, or I'm sorry, parallel with the saw blade as you possibly can, and saw that out. But if we clock that log over to where that crack is parallel, then we're going to have the fork, which has got the crotch wood, up too high, and we're going to be sawing character out. So in this case, the crotch wood overrides the crack. So we're going to get started right here. One more thing about the mill. Like I said, it cuts 76 inches from right there to right over there. This is a 26 horsepower engine on this mill. It's a gasoline engine. This mill is fully manual. Ain't that right, boys?
Yep, sure is.
How you boys like this mill?
It sucks.
Are you learning anything about sawing lumber?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
I don't think they're too intrigued. But anyway, I'm gonna set up and we're gonna get started. All right, the way the mill works, the carriage, it's got the saw blade and the motor on it, slides on these long aluminum rails. And the way you adjust the up and down of it is with these cranks. What you do, you crank these down one at a time. Then you come over and you crank the other side down. And right now I'm just getting it to a rough position. I'm not trying to get it precise. All right, at this point, what I like to do is I like to come back over here to the end of the log and start checking where the blade is going to intersect the log. All right, see, we're a little high. So I'm gonna let these boys crank this down since I've already showed you how this works. And I'll stand here and gauge this. So you boys, you remember how to crank it down?
Yeah.
You remember how to crank it down, Weston? All right, just crank it down at the same time. Go ahead. Whoa. Ethan, you stop. Okay. If you see, looks like we're about, on this end of the log, we're about 3 inches below the bark. But this log's got a strong taper to it, so the bar is going to come out just about at the top of the log on the other end. Plus this log's got a dip in it. So that's about right on this end. All right, we just made that second pass on this white ash, and buddy, it's some hard stuff. But I want to show you something real quick for you guys out there that's got one of these mills. It took me a while to learn this. I bought this mill used. It didn't have but 15 hours on it when I bought it. And right now it still don't have but 39.8 hours on it. But the guy who had it before me, he bought a bunch of chains with it. And I don't think he ever sharpened his chain. He just put new chains on it. And some of them had broke teeth and they were in bad shape. Well, I was trying to sharpen them. And by the time I'd get through the end of the log, it would be so hard you couldn't even push it through. And what was happening, the bar was rising in the cut. And when you got to the end, that bar would go, dang, it'd go down sometimes 3/4 of an inch. And it'd be thin on this end, thick on the other end. If you want to know if your saw's cutting right, you ought to be able to do this. Pull it right back across the wood. Now another thing I learned, see all that dust that's left on there? If you just push this, constantly pushing it, it will build so much dust up under the bar that it will make the bar start to deflect up. So what you need to do is cut with it about 2 or 3 inches and pull it back, and you'll see the dust just shoot out of the side right here where it's pulling that dust out. And try to keep that dust cleaned out of the cut as good as you can, because it will get so much in there, it makes the bar start rising up, and when that happens, it starts cutting at an angle, and when that happens, there's no fixing it. So let's try another cut. Now Lucas, they say to use automotive oil in this, not chain lube, because it's too thick. They want that oil to really sling around that chain. And I called them one time and was talking to them about it. And I asked them if I could just use my old oil out of my machinery, my used oil, and they said that's perfectly fine. Now, a lot of people does that. So that's how I'm recycling oil here. All right, one of the most enjoyable things about this job is when you're cutting wood and you have no idea what it's going to look like. Typically, when you're cutting for tabletops, the center cut has the most character. And in this particular log, this is the center cut. But I believe the most character is going to be on the opposite side of this cut. So when we slide this off, you're going to see what's left here, what would be on the opposite side of this top. So it'd be a mirror image. So whatever you see down here will be on the bottom of that top. Now, we're not going to fool with trying to turn that top over because number one, it's really heavy, and then number two, it's got a couple of cracks going through it, and I don't want it to fall and hit and bust even more. It needs to be handled very gently. So what we're going to do, we're going to slide it right off onto this other one right here, and then you'll be able to see what the grain is. Then we're going to bring a water hose over here, and we're going to wash that dust off, and then you can really get a good view of it. All right, come on, West.
Yeah, we're just gonna shove it straight off onto the forks.
I'm gonna lay it right on that one. All right, here's this money cut that I was just telling you about. I'm sorry, there's a little bit of a shadow on it. It's picking it up more in the camera than it is actually out here. But man, it is some pretty stuff. This tree must have had that ash borer in it because it's got worms in the middle, and it had died. So when the man that brought it to me, he's what he told me. So now we're gonna really make it pop. That's good. Get right here on this edge right here with me. All right, that's good. Man, that right there is some gorgeous stuff. Look at the character right in here. I believe that fella will be happy with that. I know I would be. That is one more nice piece of wood. All right, I didn't like the way that last little clip turned out because you couldn't really tell over in the shadows with this board. So we decided to get it over here in the sunlight and wash it off again, so you could really see the grain of this thing pop out. That right there is a beautiful table slab if I've ever seen one. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe and share the video with other people that you know. I hope everyone's well. Thank you for watching.